Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So I am back in my usual spot. And happy Friday, by the way. Today, of course, we got to talk about Bitcoin, all the big things that are happening in the space, and talk about this next big move that is right around the corner. So let's discuss everything that's going on and have a good old Friday chat. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting on a day, unfortunately, a little bit lower than earlier this week, around 105.6. And there are a few reasons why we dipped down slightly. But again, slightly. When you zoom out, you realize, yeah, we've been on a pretty good uptrend for about a month now. And this is not unusual. We have seen many periods like this before. And the good news is the Bitcoin conference is over. And normally we get this like huge dip, like this phenomenon that always happens during Bitcoin conferences, and this time did not happen. So that's good overall. But what is going on today? Well, the U.S. market is in the red right now. So this is one of the downward pressures that we're seeing. And you know what? It's due to, again, trade wars, this tariff thing and all this stuff, right? It's not going to go away anytime soon. But the latest is, well, yeah, actually yesterday, there's some big stuff. So some federal courts ruled that that the tariffs overall, reciprocal tariffs, were legal, and they were struck down. And then appellate courts then ruled, then it was appealed, and so the appellate courts are now reinstating the tariffs until they could kind of figure this out, right? So just a lot of drama overall on whether or not these like blanket reciprocal tariffs can be placed all along, even without congressional approval, right? So a lot of stuff like that happening. But in the meantime, the U.S. is still working with other countries on trying to make these trade deals. And Trump is accusing China of violating the trade deal because talks have stalled. Whether they're really violating any preliminary trade deal, I don't know, but both sides are still talking, right? And stuff like this is worrying Wall Street. I mean, just slightly. We're not down too much today. But yeah, there's always something to worry about. Even though we did have an inflation reading today come out in the U.S., and it showed inflation actually went down in April, which normally speaking would be a good thing, right? However, it showed that consumers, are spending a lot less. So I don't hear anyone talk about this, but what Japan and others have faced in Asia is what's called deflation, right? Prices going down because people are not spending. Is this like early signs of that? That people are now spending so less that inflation is actually going down. It's interesting to think about. But that's exactly what happened. And this was a surprise reading. There was no way that it was supposed to go down, but it did. Yeah. But the good thing is, if inflation is going down, then it does give the Fed reason to cut the Fed fund rate. If inflation is going up, then Powell has no reason to cut. So this is overall pretty good thing, although if you think about it, why it went down due to less spending is actually not a good reason. Anyways, so that's one thing, okay? Just overall market fear. But there is one other reason I think why we really went down. And that is actually due to something that I'll cover later, but it always happens. Outside of this, we have some great crypto news, though, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. First of all, this is pretty big. SEC drops the Binance lawsuit. I thought this was already settled because CZ already served some jail time. And plus, they paid $4.3 billion with the US government. Remember, they had this whole like press conference thing. There's like 3 major agencies say, oh, we won and blah, blah. It turns out they never dropped the lawsuit, even though Binance went through all this. But now they finally are. They're finally dropping it. Again, it just shows that the SEC is changing their enforcement rules, I guess, right now, while they're trying to figure it out. This is very positive. Very, very positive because, again, I think most of you guys know, under Gary Gensler's rule, projects, anything that related to crypto, projects, exchanges, right, leadership, all being sued left and right, really given no warning at all. And even if you do make a deal, somehow you could still be investigated. It makes no sense. But now things have changed in a big way. It's like it's starting over. It's like starting fresh. One of the things I've talked a lot about at the conference with people is this, the 180 of the SEC and how this is going to open doors in many, many ways going forward. It's a really big thing, and projects that have been afraid of like working in the US, they should all rethink their strategy. They should all come back, right? And because of this, obviously, CZ couldn't help himself and posted this out, mocking Gary Gensler, as he should, because now, everything's dropped. If Gary Gensler wasn't in charge for the last 4 years, Binance probably would still be doing their thing, and CZ probably did not have to go to jail and all this stuff, right? So obviously it makes sense. And here's something else too, that the SEC just confirmed that staking is not a security. Again, it's one of those things before, Gary just rules everything, every new innovation, anything that's in crypto is a security. So this is a big thing too. Now with this, so you have proof of stake coins like, I don't know, Solana and XRP and anything else, really, everything outside of Bitcoin, just because you can stake it and earn staking rewards does not mean that it's a security. That's a big thing too. A lot of chains were just afraid that they were going to get sued because they're proof of stake. That is now out the window. Big thing. Big thing. Again, SEC, Gary Gensler just completely screwed up crypto the last 4 years. Anything new that we had was bad. Deemed bad. It's a security. You go get sued. You go get a Wells notice. So things have changed quite a bit. All right, now on to some really good stuff besides the SEC. You have Cantor Fitzgerald, who's Howard Lutnick's old company. They unveiled a new fund that's Bitcoin with the potential of Bitcoin with no cap and has built-in gold protection, which is quite interesting. So basically, it captures all of the gains from Bitcoin, but if there's a downturn, they'll load it up with gold to protect the downside. I don't know how exactly it works, but it is like the first of its kind. And again, these kind of products are for large institutions, large amount of like institutions and companies and funds that have enormous amount of money. This product is like for them, right? You get the downside protection, but the uncapped upside position of Bitcoin. So pretty darn good. Also, you have a Reform Party leader from the UK that is also proposing a Bitcoin reserve and capital gains tax cut if he comes into power. I don't know anything about how likely that is, but because of the US, because of the moves that have been made, other countries and other political leaders are paying attention. These I guess, new notions are starting to play out. You're hearing about it around the world from politicians to obviously CEOs to everyone in between. And this, of course, is very positive. We didn't really hear about this at all in previous cycles. This is new. This is also new. Those of you guys that are into football, or AKA soccer, PSG becomes the largest sports organization to hold Bitcoin treasury. Now sports leagues are getting involved in addition to everyone else, right? We know Sailor and Strategy is going to keep on going. Metaplanet is going to keep on going. And the miners like Mara is going to keep on going. But you got sports leagues now. You got countries. You got everyone that's getting involved. And Tether is one of those companies that really shouldn't be involved, but they are. They're stablecoin issuer, the biggest in the planet. And you know what? But they're loading up on Bitcoin. They have been for quite some time. And they're loading up on gold now. It's amazing. They have 100,000 Bitcoin now in their reserve and 50 tons of gold. I question whether or not they actually have 50 tons of gold, or they just like have 50 tons of, or equivalent of paper gold that's equivalent to 50 tons of gold. That's probably more likely, because most people do not have a way to store 50 tons of gold. But maybe it's not as much as it sounds. Gold is pretty heavy. I don't know. 50 tons still sounds like a lot. But anyways, here's a clear example. Tether is making money like, hand over fist every single quarter, and they're taking a large portion of that to buy Bitcoin to better the community, even though they indirectly have nothing to do with Bitcoin. But this is good. Again, it's taking Bitcoin out of supply. All these things are taking Bitcoin out of supply. It's just that simple. It's really that simple. Here's something else. You may be able to pay your passage through the Panama Canal with Bitcoin soon. That is also something being floated around. When do we hear about that? I don't know how many cargo ships will be paying with Bitcoin, but it may happen. It may happen. You never know. All right. So, what's next? According to analysts, Willy Woo's one of them. Thinks that, we're on our way. We're doing good, but we recently stalled. Our momentum stalled. And we need to get it back, or our peak is not going to be around the corner. We have to wait a little bit. Okay? But there are many other analysts that do not think that think that this is perfectly normal. Like, for example, we tend to test key levels, ones that we have broken out from. That happens often, very, very often, right? And something else that people have pointed out is we follow them to money supply, right? We are about 90 days behind, a 3-month lag. But if you're looking at them to money supply, right around this time, we did have a dip. So even the M2 money supply does not go up like this, it still bounces up and down, right? So if you're looking at this, well, then the slight, very, very slight pullback is actually normal and within range. So nothing to be panicked about. This is normal. It's not like we haven't seen this level for months or years. No. We have seen these levels before, okay? Even 10 days ago. I think a lot of people are just used to the fact that Bitcoin, like, you know, we just live in a moment. You know, we imagine that Bitcoin has to be at 110,000 now in order for us to be in a good position. But when you zoom out and you look at this, man, since April till now, we have done extremely well. And nothing has right now moved in a way that makes you think that the bull run is over. Nowhere close. Nowhere close. And lastly, this is something new I want to showcase on my website, CryptosRUs.com, which a lot of people would be very interested in this. First of all, the website I showed you guys last week has an overall market snapshot. So today, if you're looking at like the fear and greed index, we are still in the greed mode, despite some of the negative comments in the live chat right now, which I don't even understand. People are like, oh, it's going to go down 20, 30%. What? Where? What indication? The market sentiment is still very bullish. It's still greed. We're nowhere in fear level. I don't know. I don't get that. But anyways, on the token, you know, the hot token watch list, this is just a small list on the front page. But finally, we got the dashboard done. And dashboard's quite nice. In case you guys wanted to see my DCA portfolio, this is something that a lot of people ask me because they've been following it for a very, very long time, since 2021, right? July 2021. So now you could see it in real time anytime you wanted, and every single thing that I have in my DCA portfolio is in a market dashboard. And you can see it is still up 86%, right? But that's something new that's on here. This was never published anywhere before, so it's on a market dashboard. It also has like a Bitcoin chart, fear and greed index. Here's a profit calculator. Here's an overall like, you know, heat map of everything, and the token watch list in case you guys needed a hint on what to look at. You know, there's a lot separated here: US-based tokens, memes, RWA, DeFi, DePIN, AI, and obviously I put some thought into this. It's not just like a generic list, but a lot of stuff in here. I think it's pretty good. So, market dashboard from now on. Check it, use it. The link is in the description, right? So, just want to showcase that. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. Yeah, I don't quite get the bearishness in the live chat, but you know, I get it because the alts came down a little bit more. Although ETH has been holding very well. You know, like Sol, XRP, Sui, AVAX, Cardano, they're about the same level as like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So nothing really has changed. But this shows you the importance of holding Bitcoin. I haven't said that for a while. There was a live chat, super chat from Heritas earlier. From the EU here, after June 30th, we can't earn staking rewards or any rewards in Euro and USD because they want to protect us from protecting us from earning money. Yeah, I can't comment on the EU. Is it because of the MiCA rules? I'm not sure why they're removing that. You know, yesterday, last day of the conference, I'm gonna figure out when to post it. Maybe like later this week or next week. Um, I filmed myself walking the last day of the conference just for like a half hour or so, just like showcasing what's there, just talking to random people and everything. It's, you know, it's kind of like my Sunday walk. A lot of people always comment that they like my Sunday walk. It'll be very similar to that, but it's different. It's almost like a vlog style video. I think you guys will enjoy that once I put that out. The top three Porsches you would pick. Man, I just watched a video about a 959 the other day. It's one of the all-time supercars. The Courier GT, another all-time supercar, and I guess like the current GT3 or something like that. Something along those lines. I'm not a big Porsche or Porsche guy. Um, I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not thinking about. Pocket Network. Yeah, I'm not going to look at something that's up 562%. No. Not natural at all. Oh, I forgot to mention the other reason why. The other reason why we went down. I closed it out accidentally. Where's that listing? Oh, by the way, I met TJ Miller yesterday too, or the day before. It was pretty cool to meet him. He was pretty nice too. There we go. This is another reason why. Remember James Wynn? How he threw on a 40x long? He was basically challenging the market makers to liquidate him. And he was just liquidated for $100 million. So I think his liquidation price was like 106, 105 something, and basically, he was up like hundreds of millions of dollars with his 40x, and then he got liquidated. Joey, I appreciate that. I took a lot of pictures with fans or just watchers, followers, the last 3 days. if any of you guys did take a picture with me, feel free to tag it. Post on X, tag me and the conference, and then I'll try to repost them. So that way people will be able to see it. I took a lot of pictures. I don't even recall how many. I still have to set something up with Schiff, who's also a nice guy and always dressed very well if I say so. Um, I have to set something up with him. But, you know, it's one of those things. You can't win against Schiff. He'll never change his mind. But it'll be, you know, it'll be fun. You know what's funny? Someone, Andy, I don't know why you just retract that message, but Newsmax, someone's introducing me to Newsmax. I don't know too much about them, but I guess they're quite big. Um, yeah, I don't know. Was going to introduce me to them. I don't know for what reason. Well, U.S. market is turning, so that's good. Um, Strategy down a little bit, Coinbase down a little bit, Robinhood down a little bit. We could certainly turn into green today. This is a lot better than what we start out with. I don't really, for me personally, I don't like any versions of MSTR. In fact, like for stocks, I don't even like MSTR. I'd much rather hold Coinbase at this point and also Robinhood at this point. Um, MSTR's performance and all variations of it have really stalled because of, I believe, all the new raises and the off share offerings and all that stuff. So um, for me, if I wanted like a crypto play in the stock market, it would be Coinbase. Being added to S&P 500 is a big deal, and then also like someone like Robinhood, which has explosive growth with crypto and with stocks. King asks, "What if James was just someone from exchange or a massive whale just baiting people to go along?" Uh, it- that's exactly what what the situation was. He might have lost that. I'm not even sure if it's real because if you go to James Wynn's like X, he just does a lot of promotions on like getting people to sign up to Hyperledger and stuff like that. So obviously there was a point to it. It wasn't just him showcasing how bold he was. It's also to get people to like sign up to Hyperliquid and other things. When will I start selling my BDC? Probably as we get closer to 200K. Because I believe the top is around there, if not higher. It's probably higher, like more like 250. So as we get closer and closer, then I would start taking some profits. Frank, stop saying the same thing over and over and over again. Nothing happened to Radium. Stop spamming the same question like 100 times. What do you mean, what happened to Radium? What happened to it? Nothing happened. Billy, that's not the first time. And when I say sell, I don't mean all, but taking profits is never a bad idea. I'm not going to ride it all 100% like I did before. You got to have dry powder on the side. Although I do think that one of the things I said, because everyone always asks the same question, even in real life, well, where do you think top is going to be? I think it's going to be between 200 and 250,000, although there are a lot of predictions that are way higher now for this cycle. But, you know, if you don't have that dry powder, you're not able to DCA. You're not able to take advantage of dips. And we know there's always dips. You know, 20% dips, 30% dips, very often. After this cycle, this year, I think we're going to go continue. I don't think we're going to have crypto winter anymore. But I do think we're still going to have consolidation and dips. You know, we may go down 20, 25, 30%, right? And then we pick ourselves back up and continue going. You got to have cash to take advantage of those situations. When does the tariffs paused resume? That's a good question, especially the one with China. Um, the EU was paused for 30 days, right? So that's still ongoing. With China, I think it's paused for 30 days or 90 days. But whether or not any of these are going to stand, I don't know. I don't know. Even the courts are trying to shut down the tariffs altogether. A lot of people talking about the Knicks. At least, you know, unlike the Wolves, they pushed it to the game 6. I do think I'm rooting for the Knicks. If Knicks could pull out next game, game 6, and tie it up, I think they will win the series and they will be going to the finals. Um, I don't know what it is about Indiana. I just don't want to see them win. So I'm hoping that Cat has another strong game for game 6. Brunson always does well. Would tariffs being shut down would be good for BTC? Christian asks. Just tariffs overall has brought markets down. I mean, just think about it. Going up to January, um, like since Trump's election from November to January, the markets were just soaring, 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 right? The only reason why we had that big correction down, like 20, 30%, was due to the tariffs. Now that there's like tariff deals and potential deals, this is why like markets are reacting positive again. If all tariffs were removed, markets would soar once again for everything. But it doesn't help the other things that are driving people still to Bitcoin. For example, bond rates are still extremely high. That's going to still continue to help push people into Bitcoin. So that's not going to go away anytime soon. George, I spotted you in a random video of a Detroit auto show 3 months ago. Uh, no, it wasn't Detroit. Well, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I was looking at a the new ZR1. Or maybe it's an old video from back in the day. I forget. The market's turning. Yeah, slowly, slowly turning green, which is good. Abe says the last 7 weeks we had green candles. We're due for a red candle on the weekly. That's a good point. I mean, basically, you can't expect greens every single day or every single week. Here's the weekly chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Having one red week wouldn't be so bad. And if you're looking at like the indicators on a weekly, stochastic coming down from its high of like 100, RSI is coming down a little bit, so it actually makes a lot of sense. And plus, if we're following the M2 money supply, you see how there's a little dip there, kind of also correlate. Pullbacks are normal. They always happen. We can't go up in a straight line. There will always be pullback. This is a slight pullback, guys. This is slight. Very, very slight. It's not like we pull back to 95 or 85. So I don't quite get all the bearishness, but I mean, if you're like, even if you're looking at this, we're at the level from 10 days ago, like May 20th, before we started going up again. I mean, even if we go early May, we were still like in the 103s. We're still above that. We really didn't pull back all that much. Right now, it's just alts. Alts do not have any momentum. All the momentum is in Bitcoin. People have to understand that this cycle is different than previous cycles. Bitcoin is not being propped up by retail investors. It's all institutions now. They're putting their hundreds of millions and billions every single week, right? That is why Bitcoin is so strong. And, you know, all the macro factors are also pushing, like funds and, you know, sovereign funds and hedge funds and all these other asset managers. They're, you know, converting everything. That's why Bitcoin is so strong, and retail just does not have the same kind of momentum or bullishness. Retail people are just so finicky. Just like in this live chat, so many people are saying, well, altcoin season is dead. Alts are going to go down more, right? Well, when everyone thinks that, you think alts are going to hold strong? No one seems to even want to hold alts right now, right? So that's the reason why alts are kind of behind this cycle. You got more and more people that are just panicked, and Bitcoin is so strong. We're turning. MicroStrategy Coin and Robinhood are about to turn green. When they turn green, you go see a big push for Bitcoin upwards. Wall Street is starting to turn green. I think people are realizing there's more of the same. There's no reason to be selling off. All right, guys. It's been a while since I did a live. Seems like it's a while, but it's only been like 3 days or 4 days. Anyways, I think we conclude. There are some big things happening, guys. Don't let a small little dip get you scared. We got so many great things happening. All you have to do is stay strong and focus on the future and DCA. That's it. It's the same message. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out our new CryptosRUs website. A lot of great things on here. I don't know. Maybe I could put out a video tomorrow of the conference, or at least a small video. And Sunday Walk, of course, is coming. And then we'll go from there. All right? Have a good one, guys. Again, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one.